Hi, my name is Stan.
My name is Connie.
My name is Judy.
My name is Eileen, and I'm a caregiver to my mother.
And I care for my mother, Octavia.
And I'm a caregiver for my mother.
And I'm a caregiver to my husband, Art.
I'm a caregiver for my wife, Ann, who's 72 years old.
Basically, I've done everything for providing for both of them.
I take care of my mother on the weekends. I take her grocery shopping.
Not only household chores,
I provide her medical care, coordination, driving, errands.
choosing meals, making meals, cleaning up.
I find that I take care of anything that he can't take care of.
Sometimes I find balancing time a real challenge.
The difficult part for me is taking me into consideration.
Balancing her needs with the needs of my family, the needs of my marriage, and my own needs.
Staying calm, nice, and positive.
The real challenge is, of course, the distance and the moment you get that last phone call.
What I love most about taking care of her is knowing that we're providing a secure and comfortable home for her.
It's the time we spend together.
Is the adventure of finding out new things all the time to trying to help him stay out of pain.
My name is Ed. I'm a spouse and I'm a caregiver.
My name is Colette. I'm a daughter and a caregiver.
I'm a caregiver, and I'm a daughter.
And I'm a wife and a caregiver.
I'm a daughter and a caregiver.
I'm a son, a nephew, and a caregiver.
Hi, my name is Deborah Day, and I help manage United Way Caregivers Coalition. While caring for a loved one has its special rewards, it's a very challenging job. It can be stressful, overwhelming, and sometimes lonely. Each caregiving situation is unique, but all caregivers share the need for information and support. And that's where the Caregivers Coalition comes in. We help caregivers receive the support they need to take care of their loved ones and to take care of themselves. Caregivers who lead healthy, productive lives will be better caregivers. The most important thing to remember is that as a caregiver, you're not alone.
The theme of tonight's Munch and Learn is your healthy lifestyle, caregiving safety tips and techniques. I hope this evening's presentation will provide you with information on creating a safe physical environment for your loved one, including how to use adaptive equipment properly and the best practices for lifting and moving your loved one.
Robin, thank you very much for having us here tonight in the Sussex County Caregivers Coalition. We really appreciate this opportunity to share our knowledge with you and hope that you're able to take this home and use it in the caring for your for the person that you're caring for in your home. Linda and I go into the patient rooms over at the hospital, and I go in usually first, because Linda will say, you know, it's your turn. Okay, that seems to happen a lot. And I say to the patient, well, one of your doctors wrote an order for occupational therapy, and Linda and I are here to see you. And we hope that we're able to help you in your discharge planning and see if you'll need any services at your home. And I tell them that my name is Barbara and I'm from occupational therapy. And the person in bed says, I'm retired. I don't work anymore. I don't want a job. And I go, oh, whoa, that was rather harsh. But that is also my opportunity to say, well, let me tell you then about occupational therapy. Yes, an occupational therapy can get you back to your job. We can do job hardening skills. We can work on strengthening the body to have you be able to endure whatever it is that you do at work. If you're doing standing, if you're doing lifting, we can work in that area. But an occupational therapist also works with your daily living skills. And one thing I say to them is Think of yourself in the morning. You're lying in bed, you roll over, sit up, put your feet on the floor, and you go about your day, and then at night, you do the same thing. You come into your bed, you sit down, put your legs up, you go to sleep. Think of what you do in that whole time, and that's what an occupational therapist can address. Daily living skills, to be as functionally independent as possible. And as a caregiver, the goal for a caregiver, number one should be taking care of yourself, because if you're not taking care of yourself, you may no longer be able to care for the person you're caring for. Then what? So with that, an occupational therapist may use gadgets, because we're all about gadgets too. And we have some of the gadgets up here that Eileen will be showing you, and that hopefully you can take some of this information home with you. So with that, Eileen?
So this is some of the adaptive equipment that we use for folks who've had various issues when you have somebody at home. So it could be back issues for lower body dressing. It could be somebody with a hip or knee replacement, having difficulty bending forward, anything to that. So again, our goal as the occupational therapist, and for you also, I'm sure at home, is to make the person as independent as possible in their everyday tasks. So that's bathing, that's dressing. And I'm going to start with, the first one is just a basic long handle scrub brush. Okay? And again, not just for your back, but for your lower body. Okay? A lot of folks, because of their hip or knee surgeries, they cannot, or back surgeries, they cannot bend. And again, if your loved one is on the tub seat at home, you can just give this to them, and of course being supervised, and have
Feet are important.
There you go. So concerning lower body dressing, we have various things we can use, and I'm going to have Linda actually practice with actually putting on scrubs. Well, actually, let's start from the beginning. We're going to show you first one is the dressing stick. Again, again, just because I'm showing you these items does not mean you cannot think of something else. Go home and maybe make something like this. This is just a dowel and 2 hooks on the end. Okay? Everybody has a catalog, so feel free to use the catalog as a reference. Doesn't mean you have to purchase things through this catalog. There are things on the internet. Unfortunately, Medicare does not cover these pieces of equipment, just so everybody knows. Okay, I think they only cover commodes, and I believe they don't even cover tub seats. Correct, ladies? No, they do not. So just be a good consumer. Think if you see something here tonight that you can adapt yourself, or you have somebody handy in your home, give them. I believe everything that I'm showing you tonight is in the catalog. So feel free to adapt as you need to. So this is called a dressing stick. It has 2 hooks on the end, okay? And I'm going to have Linda use it to take her shoes off. Again, we're assuming that Linda's having difficulty bending for whatever reason.
She's hooking it around the back of her heel.
Right, for anybody who can't see.
Of course,
You just retied your sneakers, didn't you? Okay. And again, it all depends on what your situation is at home. So actually, if you want to, I'm going to show you here. What you could do is this smaller hook right here, you can use to readjust. So there you go, your sock. Okay. So again, I'm going to have you now use it to take your sock off. Okay. All right. Now, you can either use the dressing stick to pick up the sock, or you can use the reacher. How many know about our wonderful reacher? Do you use it for many things at home, correct? Getting things off the shelves? No. So I'll show you a few of the features of the reacher. We have a magnet on the end here, okay? We've got this part here that can actually bring things closer to you. Like you could kind of hook it underneath something there. You've got this part here that, I'll be honest with you, really doesn't work very well. It's supposed to be an attachment to a walker. It doesn't work.
Because most of the walkers are
Too wide.
too wide.
Yeah. And then, of course, the picker up part. So I'm going to have Linda, and again, I'm just focusing on the dressing part right now, but you can kind of use your imagination of all the different things you can use.
Picks up the remote really well.
Okay, so right now, Linda has a sock, and she needs a technique to be able to put it back on because, again, for whatever reason, Linda cannot bend or cross her legs. So this is called a sock aid. Okay, there are two different styles. One's for a wider foot. Okay, and then we have this type for more regular sized foot, I guess you would say. Okay. Sometimes, so what I'm going to have Linda do is place it between her knees for a stable, or you could put it between on your stomach. And you want the heel of the sock towards the back. And you're going to bring it right over the top. Definitely when you're doing this, I'll tell you right now, it does not work with the elastic stockings. Doesn't work. I think in the catalog there is a type of device for that. You can trial it. I've never trialed it myself, but you can trial that. And a little powder in there will help. Okay, so Linda's going to use, okay, again, a little powder in there will help. Definitely works out with the looser fitting sock, a shorter sock, not the long tube socks or anything like that. Okay, so no bending. Again, just Linda, leave it on the ground, and then you can use your reacher or your dressing stick to pick it up. Okay, everybody remembers shoehorns, right? If I say it to the younger folks in the room, they probably, but shoehorn just extra long. Kind of self-explanatory, so you don't have to bend. Now again, for lower body pants, same devices. We could either use the dressing stick or the reacher. It's really a person's personal choice. And if we do have a weakness on one side, we would want to get that side dressed first versus the other. What would you prefer, Linda? Reacher sometimes works out better, yeah. So let's assume that Linda's right side is weaker for whatever reason. So I would recommend her get on the right side first.
I like to do it this way.
And of course, with her shoe, it's going to be a struggle, but you kind of get the idea. And then there's just gathering the, and again, everybody has their own little different techniques. And it's kind of a trial and error. That's what it's all about. But at least there's at least some equipment that's available. So Linda's technique is to just kind of roll it all up. She's created a nice little opening here. And it's just going to go right through. She's bending a little bit too much.
I'm
though.
bending too much.
She's
I also
cheating a little
can't
bit.
do it with
Well,
my shoe on.
I know. There we go. Just do it at the waistband, yeah. And again, it's trial and error. It's trial and error. You can use, but see how that reacher, it's like an extension of a person's arm, really.
Also, it's easier if you have a wider leg pant as opposed to a narrow.
And
narrow leg pants just.
yeah, and again, the question was, it's
This
easier
is my good
to.
leg, I can do this.
It's easier to do with the wider leg pant, and that's what you want to do. You want to consider, you want to grade all the things. You want to make things easier for your loved one at home, the easiest as it can be. Perfect. Now we're going to practice, is it, okay, we'll practice sit to stand right now, Lind? Okay. So what we'll do is you always want to have your loved one push up from whatever surface that they may be in. Now this is a chair without arms, so what are you going to do? We're going to have Linda turn to her side and use the back of the chair and the seat to help her stand up. I'm going to stand right to her side. Okay, she's going to push up. I'm here just in case, and it all depends on how your loved one's doing. Have them self-adjust their pants, or I would, and of course, if needed, there would be a walker in place in front.
They're a little big.
And I'm going to have Linda reach back. Whenever you go to have somebody sit down, you always want them to have them reach back for the surface they're sitting on. And again. Okay? So that was lower body dressing. What I'm going to focus on is just a little bit on somebody with limited hand strength or limited shoulders. And I'm just going to show you, I'm not sure. This is just a long handled comb. Okay? It should be in the catalog. And again, but be a good consumer. You can, internet is a wonderful thing these days. But again, somebody with limited shoulder range of motion, now they can do their own hair. Isn't that a wonderful thing? Yeah. And these are just pieces of foam, but different diameters. So you can use that for a handle to a brush, or this one would be for a toothbrush maybe, but they're different sizes. Okay, these are available.
You can stick a pen in it.
So you can kind of get a pen.
It's a little bit thick.
Yeah, a little bit thick. But so, again, with somebody with arthritis or limited grip strength, even plastic fork or spoon would help them, again, be able to feed themselves. Moving on to feeding yourself, there are different adaptive, this is very interesting. These are weighted utensils, they're called. Okay, and the weight is for anybody who might have a slight tremor. And a little bit of the weight for the utensil helps with the tremor. Okay, so these is a weighted fork, knife, and there is a spoon. Again, speaking of somebody with limited grip, this is just a built-up spoon. I know for a fact you can find these in Bed Bath & Beyond, I believe, if anybody. Bed Bath & Beyond, also very good with all the built-up handles for the peelers and all those different things. Okay, and this you can bend. So if you're right-handed, you can bend the spoon part, and now you can bring it to your mouth. Again, independence. Anybody notice anything different about the plate? Scooped. It's a scoop. It's a scooped plate. Thank you. It's a scoop plate. So again, somebody with only use of their one hand or weakness on one side, ever chase your peas and carrots around the table? How frustrating that could be. So what you're doing is you're just using the scoop. Okay. Again, independence in feeding. And then we have, this is a wonderful thing, all our rocker knives. I didn't realize how many different varieties of rocker knives we have. And the rocker knife is used, again, for somebody with only use of one hand. If you think about it, you're cutting something, you're using a fork and a knife, two hands, okay? Now for somebody who doesn't have the use of the one hand, how are you going to hold that piece of meat or whatever it might be to cut? You're going to use the rocker knife. So again, notice the curve. This one has a built-up handle. You're just going to rock it back and forth to cut your meat. Okay, again, bigger blade, bigger grip, rock it back and forth. And this, oh, thank you. And this just for some people, they're a little more self-conscious when they're going out to eat at dinner at night, things like that. So this is just shaped to look like more of a normal knife. Okay. And again, not yet. And then this, that's okay. And then this is just, anybody been to Alaska? They say they use this a lot in Alaska.
Ulu knife.
Yeah.
Really? What?
What was it called again, Barbara?
Ulu knife.
Ulu knife. But again, for one-handed use, so you can cut. Okay. And the last item to show everybody is this is, you know, if your loved one loves to cook or wants to help out in the kitchen, and again, with only use of one hand, this is a cutting board. You can adapt this very easily. The two prongs are used to stabilize whatever you want. Piece of fruit, so we're going to stabilize, okay? And then you're going to be able to cut the apple with one hand. And then also, if you notice the corner here, put your bread there with the knife, butter your bread, peanut butter and jelly, whatever you like, so it stabilizes there. Again, very easy to make, very easy to make. And that is the end. I'll take any questions at the end of the session. Okay, now on to the lovely Linda.
Transferring and moving your loved one can be very easy, or it can be very hard. And if their disease or whatever they happen to have progresses, it can get harder as time goes on. So I'm going to start with like simple transfers and then move on to a couple pieces of equipment that I brought that we're particularly fond of. We use it a lot, and I'll show that one to you. The white handout has helpful hints for you to prepare. Prepare yourself. Make sure you have everything that you need there as you're going to start a transfer. Make sure you're confident doing what you need to do. Make sure they're not too heavy for you. The new OSHA regulation says that no one should lift more than 35 pounds. You know, I don't know anybody that weighs 35 pounds. So they're looking out for us too in changing some of our regulations in the hospital as far as lifting patients and moving patients. The state has also mandated new laws in the hospital, at least as far as lifting patients, if they are a moderate assist, which is the patient is doing about maybe up to 50, 75%. You're going to be doing the rest, that you need to use lifting equipment. So if your loved one happens to be in the hospital and we happen to come in and we say, we're going to use this equipment to get your loved one out of bed, it's to help them so they're safer and help us so we're safer. Because we can't care for your loved one if we're hurt, and you can't care for your loved one if you're hurt. And if the loved one themselves gets hurt, then they end up being in the hospital longer, which we don't need. So I'm going to have Miss Eileen lie down here. I don't care which way you lie down. Okay. Because what I'm going to first start with is just supine to sit. How do you get them from lying down to sitting up? That's probably the hardest part of the whole transfer, is to go from lying down to sitting up. You want them to do as much as they can. Again, we're looking at independence. The best way, and now everyone's going to see my back, so pardon it, is if you can get your loved one to roll on the side facing you. So come on over here, Eileen, just roll over. The one piece of equipment that is in the catalog that's very good is a bar that you can stick in the bed, like a grab bar that would go right here. So they can hold on to that. Unfortunately, this, if I put these rails up, they're full rails, so it's not going to hurt. You're then going to instruct, what we're going to do is bring your legs off the edge of the bed first. Okay? And that's going to help gravity help to get them up. You're going to cradle your loved one and tell them to start to push with their arm. Push, 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 until they're sitting up. Keep your back straight. A little bit of an arch, because you want to lift with your arms and your legs. If you have a hospital bed that you can raise and lower, you might want to raise it up a little bit if you're tall. They don't have to have their feet on the floor yet while you're sitting them up. That can come. But you want to be at a comfortable height where you're not going to hurt your back. Because if you hurt your back, things are not good. So now I'm going to have to go back down. We're going to just do the reverse. So I'm going to ask Eileen to come down onto her elbow and come down on her side. And then her legs will come up. And then we'll help her roll onto her back. Very simple. It's easy. The more they can help you, the better it is. Do not let them grab you. Do not let them get their hands around your neck. If they grab you, you're no longer in control. And you want to be the one in control of any type of bed mobility to sit on the edge. We see a lot of people, they go to get up, and this is what they do. No. Bad for the shoulders, bad for your back, bad for the patient. And we'll see patients, they'll come in the hospital, and we'll say, okay, we're going to sit up and get out of bed, and we'll start to get up, and they go like this. So we know at home that's what they're doing, and their caretaker is just pulling them up. So we don't prefer that. So that's why we're kind of going over this. I am going to have Eileen sit back up now, because we're going to work on transfers. So I need my wheelchair. I don't know if I'm out of the realm here.
Yeah, looks right.
You notice I'm setting the chair up. She could still be lying down at this point if we had to do it. I want my chair locked. I want it where I want it so that when we go to stand up, it's in the proper position. Another favorite toy of ours is called a gait belt. You can use a regular belt. It doesn't have to be a gait belt. But the gait belt gives you something to hold on to. If they're wearing stretchy pants, you pull on the pants, the pants are way up here, they're going to have this good wedgie going on. So this gives them something to hold on to. You want it down around the waist. If they have a stomach, these come in different sizes, by the way.
So what if they have a stomach, so you don't want it around the waist?
Then you go down lower. You go underneath. You get it down around the hips like you would a...
I go above.
You can go above too. The only thing above is sometimes it pulls on the ribs. So you want that around their waist. You can put them up here, but around the ribs, sometimes it compresses the ribs and that causes pain. It's the only reason we don't do that. This doesn't go any lower. You want them to scoot forward so their feet are on the floor. You're going to usually put one foot in between their feet, the other foot back a little bit. That gives you a better stance when you're going to move. Bend your knees, keep your back straight. You're going to come around. I want Eileen to put one hand on her chair, one hand on the bed. We're going to stand up together. And she's up. We're then going to start to move. And she's got pretty good balance, so she can sit. And then we're going to have her sit. So you're going to squat with them and come up with them. Saves your back. That's the easy transfer. That's the easy transfer. I'm going to have Eileen come back to the mat. We're going to do transfer with the walker, which is also an easy transfer, if they can stand. How tall are you, Eileen?
5'6".
This is my pet walker. He has a name. His name's Hiram. Hiram Walker. See, they got it. I have another one in the department too. His name's Johnny. And I have a cane and her name's Candy. These are the tools of the trade. If you see me wandering around the hospital, Hiram's usually with me and Candy's usually with me, because inevitably I need them to do this. When you're going to stand with a walker, I'm going to give you two scenarios. One is a walker like this, or a standard walker that has no wheels. Okay? This one has two wheels. They do not have brakes. You do not want the patient to grab the walker to stand, because if they do and they pull on the walker, look what it does. It tips. We always like to say, one hand on the bed, one hand on the walker, because then you have one hand on the walker to hold it. If you have the gait belt on, you get a hold of it and stand them up. Don't bring the hand up. And then, of course, they can take a few steps, they can walk. You also still have something to hold on to with the belt. And you can control, if their balance is a little bit off, I'm doing that all just by moving the belt, so that you can help control their balance to prevent falls. Hands back to the chair, and have a seat. Nice. Easy, right? Not everyone can stand well. That's when it starts to get a little bit tricky. Our other scenario that we do see is we have, and I'm just going to sit down for this now, I don't have one with me, is the lovely, we used to call them Florida Specials, otherwise known as rollators, which have 4 wheels and a seat and brakes and a little thing to put your purse in. And I've seen them all dialed up. Those with brakes, the patient actually can hold on to the walker to stand as long as the brakes are on. If the brakes are not on, you don't want to do that. So we do get quite a few in the hospital, and we'll say, what kind of walker do you use? And they go, I got one with 4 wheels and a seat. So we know they're going to do this automatically. So we actually stabilize the other walker so that they can do it the way they're used to doing it at home. Because we try to keep them doing what they're doing at home. Now Miss Eileen's going to come back here. Yeah, please. This is one of our favorite pieces of equipment. It is called, this one happens to be called a stand aid. There are ones that are called easy stands. There's sit and stand. There's tons of different names for them. Unfortunately, this is not covered by Medicare. Medicare will cover a Hoyer lift, which is good in some instances, but it tends to be a little scary for the loved one. If you've never been in a Hoyer lift, it's something to experience. It's not a real comfortable feeling. And Hoyer lifts need to be done by 2 people for safety reasons. The old Hoyer lifts actually would fall over once in a while. So you have to have 2 people there. So we like this piece of equipment, and on occasion people will say, well, what can I get? My husband can't stand very well. My wife can't stand very well. Well, they're expensive in this day and age, and most are retired, so they don't have a lot of income. So I like to tell the kids and the grandkids, if you want something to get mom and dad for Christmas, buy one of these. These will cost anywhere between $1,000 and $1,400. Again, as I said, they're expensive. But the other thing you can do is when you're done with it, put it on Craigslist, put it on something, and you'll get some of your money back because it's a great piece of equipment. You know, we're trying to push through to get Medicare to pay for it. I don't know if it's in that catalog or not, but this is a stand aid. Yeah, but they're also called sit to stand. There are a couple that actually have a disc, like that rotates. I'm not real fond of that one because I think it's not quite as stable a base, and you want a stable base if you're doing it alone. What we do with this, and we use this a lot because it also makes the patient or the loved one feel safe. You cannot fall in this. We've tried every way to do it, and you cannot fall. You have the patient or loved one put their feet on the platform. We lock the brakes. Yeah, it don't go back because the stretcher doesn't. We ask them to reach for this bar, so you have to be able to have a little bit of reach. But we can also. She's going to move forward.
This would normally go underneath
Underneath.
the bed a little bit more, so
But the
this
way
part
this-
of your leg is more braced.
But the way the stretcher is, it won't allow it. And we're actually going to ask her if she can reach the far bar. And we're going to say on a count of 3, we're going to stand. And you're going to pull with those arms and push up with your legs. And we say 1, 2, 3, up. We then take these lovely pads and move them. So if she needs to lean against them, she can. Or she can practice standing. She can practice marching in place in it, so she can get that exercise. And we do that to test patients. But, there she goes. Her legs gave out. But that's as far as she can go.
She wanted to turn me around.
And I'm going to turn her around.
So my legs are braced.
See how the legs are braced? And I say, come on, try standing up again. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I can't stand any longer. You cannot fall in this. We've tried. You can't even tip it over. The closest we got is we had someone actually try to climb out of it, but they weren't successful either. You can roll them over a commode. You can roll them into the shower if you have a roll-in shower. You can sit them over a wheelchair. You can roll them in the living room, put them in the reclining chair. It's nice and stable and nice and safe. You feel good in there?
Mm-hmm, I do.
It's quite comfortable. It's going to be here for a while, so feel free when we're done to play with it a little bit. As you can see, I can move it all by myself. We recommend 2 people, and we do 2 people for safety. Okay, Eileen, you need to pull your. That's right. I can still make you stand up without it. There's locking pins on this one. Hands back to this bar. And you're going to sit back as far as you can. Very nice. I know your shoes won't do it. That's why I wore my sneakers.
It looks like you need upper body strength.
You do need some upper body strength. Well, we've had stroke patients stand in this who only had one arm to use. And it was a very safe way to transfer them and get them starting being mobile. But I've never heard any of our clients say, oh, I don't like that thing. They all love it because they feel safe in it. And we want our loved ones to be safe. Let me do a scoop. One more transfer I'm going to show you I would have brought my sliding board, but I couldn't find it. But we'll do a scoot. It's locked. And you would set the chair up the same for a sliding board as you would for a scoot transfer, except you would have a board that goes under here and comes across to here. So to do a scoot, I'm going to stand in front. I'm going to use my belt. I'm going to get 1 foot in between her feet. I'm going to have Eileen put her hands on the bed, and she's going to lift her fanny, and we're going to go to the side. And lift, and lift. And that's a nice scoot transfer. Simple. We make it look easy, though. We've been doing it a long time. Okay. We've been doing these a long time, so. And those are our transfers. We're done. Yeah, we are. Ready for Q&A. The sit to stand would be appropriate for someone who has a spinal injury that cannot stand at all. No.
Okay.
If they cannot stand at all, they need to be able to weight bear on their legs. So they need to be able to take weight through their legs to stand in the sit to stand.
Okay.
Someone with a spinal injury that cannot stand at all, I would either do a sliding board or a scoot transfer.
Okay.
The question is, how does the sit to stand, stand to sit
Work with
work
dead weight.
weight?
They have to be able to have some muscle power, especially in the arms. We've gotten people up in it that were dependent of us to get them up. In that case, are they able to stand? Like, do they have strength in the legs at all?
Yeah, when he works on it, yes.
Okay, because they do have one of these. It's a motorized version. The sling comes around here and hooks to it. Their feet, there's straps around the shins, around the calves, and one under the buttocks. And you push the button and stands the person up in it. It's electric instead of. So that stands them up, which would be more appropriate.
You can use soup cans. You can use
Socks
yeah,
with BBs and rice.
Yeah, socks with beans and rice in. They could grab a hold of that. Tomato paste can, and that the way you can then grade the weight and grade the grip. So the tomato paste can is small, not as wide, and then the soup can a little bit stockier, a little heavier.
Excellent
Weighted
idea,
wrists.
their weighted wristbands, yeah.
And you have different weights, and they just wrap around the wrist.
Yep.
And then
Yeah, you could do that too.
Medicare covers.
Hospital beds. They have to be ordered by a physician as necessary equipment. They cover a walker or crutches or a cane. They'll only pay for one assistive device to walk with.
and a wheelchair.
And a wheelchair. Well, no, because if they'll pay for a wheelchair, but they won't necessarily pay for a walker if they paid for a wheelchair.
Yeah.
They do not cover any of the adaptive equipment that you saw tonight.
Except for commodes.
Except for the commode.
But it's like if someone has come in and we're saying they need a wheelchair and they need a walker, Medicare's only going to cover one piece of equipment at that time. They're not going to cover both of them. They do cover Hoyer lifts,
Yes,
and that's about it.
No. The question is, does Medicare cover
Cover
electric
electric
wheelchairs?
power wheelchairs.
Or power wheelchairs?
I really don't know. I can't answer that one.
So Medicare does cover one
One.
electric wheelchair in a lifetime, according to a member of the audience. Thank you for that information.
Thank you.
To contact your national societies, like if someone does have Parkinson's disease, contact the Parkinson's Association. They may be able to help you in finding respite care somewhere within their organization. The same way with anyone that has, say, heart disease. You know, it doesn't hurt to contact these larger groups or your local group. They're there. I mean, the worst that they can say is that, no, we can't help you. Or maybe they can direct you in another area to go. I have been a caregiver myself to 3 family members. I can empathize with people who are caregivers now. It is very stressful. It is very hard. And you think that your resources are not there. And you think family members don't help. And that's true. Family members don't help. But continue your determination to find ways to help. Church groups, civic groups, don't hesitate to call them. You never know what might be out there to help you.
Come on.
I'll join the party.
Join the party.
Some of the larger national organizations sometimes get grant funding
Right.
to support programs, and it's on a first-come, first-served basis. So if you were to call, it might have been your lucky day, and they said, "Oh, we just actually received a $10,000 grant, and we're divvying it up, in $200 intervals or whatever the case may be." That may be able to help in some way with a particular need that you have. So I understand that getting on the phone, it's very time consuming, having been in a caregiver role myself, and it's daunting to sit on hold and not get to the person to talk to before you now are called back to your caregiver, role. But keep trying, and one of the great things about support groups, and I know it's really hard to get out of the house to go to them, is that you get to talk to other people that are in similar situations as yourself, and they often have that little niche that can help you to maybe find a service you didn't know existed, or find an agency that you didn't know provided a particular service that might help you. So it's really about talking to other people as much as possible, even if it's a matter of not being able to leave the home, but having a friend do it for you. Go to that support group and say, I'm here on behalf of my friend who can't leave her situation as a caregiver, and I'm here, and this is her or his situation. Do you have any suggestions? How are you managing your caregiving role? And those are the kind of things that friends and family can help out with too. So thank you again, and I hope to see all of you again at some point in the future, and the best of luck. Enjoy the rest of this lovely evening.
Okay, thank you.